Urua, c. 508 BCE or 518 BCE, unknown, a disciple of Confucius, was one of the 72 worthies of the Confucian school and was revered as a Confucian sage. Master Yu said, "Those who are filial to their parents and obedient to their elder brothers, yet are fond of challenging those in authority, are rare. Those who do not like to challenge those in authority but are fond of rebellion do not exist. A gentleman devotes himself to the fundamentals. Once the fundamentals are established, the principles for governing the state and conducting oneself are in place. Filial piety toward parents and obedience to elder brothers, these are the roots of Ren, benevolence." Confucius was most concerned with peace in the human world, the stability of states, and harmony within families, and all of these, he believed, depend on the benevolence and kindness of people. Confucian thought holds that human benevolence and goodness begin in childhood with filial piety toward one's parents. A newborn child, upon entering the world, is immersed in the boundless love of its parents and experiences everything as beautiful. The child depends on the parents, loves them, and within this love filial piety naturally arises. Therefore, in ancient Chinese traditional primers, the three-character classic opens with the line, "At birth, human nature is inherently good." Filial piety is the earliest form of human culture. It was filial piety that led our ancestors onto an evolutionary path entirely different from that of other animals, and ultimately enabled them to become the dominant species on Earth. Filial piety is the most distinctive characteristic that sets human ancestors apart from other animals. For details, https://youtube.be/tzqa0evixs. Humans and chimpanzees diverged from a common ancestor about 6 million years ago, and their genetic sequences are highly similar, over 96%. Yet in reality, modern humans and chimpanzees differ enormously, a difference that is difficult to explain solely by variations in genetic structure. Maternal love is an instinct in humans, it is also a form of love. Filial piety, however, is a child's acquired affection toward parents after birth. It is the earliest form of human culture and, over long ages of evolution, has become a kind of human external cultural gene. The evolutionary path of human ancestors was not smooth. As early as 6500 to 3100 BCE, the Sumerians were the first to establish the world's oldest civilization, the Mesopotamian civilization, on the fertile plains between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers in what is now Iraq. The Sumerians were the earliest inhabitants of the region between the two rivers. Around 10,000 years ago, while humans in other regions were still living in primitive hunter-gatherer societies, the Sumerians were already developing the fertile land of Mesopotamia, digging irrigation networks, fostering villages as well as large and small cities, and establishing multiple city-states. The Sumerians invented the earliest known writing system, cuneiform. From that point on, humanity gained, in addition to spoken language, another convenient way to exchange ideas and transmit information. More importantly, any new human discoveries or inventions could be recorded in writing, becoming a foundation for later generations to study, build upon, and further advance. This allowed human knowledge to accumulate and productivity to continually rise, greatly promoting the development of human material civilization. The invention of humanity's earliest writing was even more significant to human civilization than modern computers, semiconductors, the internet, or artificial intelligence. The Sumerians established schools, developed agriculture, cultivated crops, and invented the plow and the wheel. They also invented metallurgical techniques, heating ore until it became liquid and smelting bronze, which was used to make tools and weapons. The Sumerians later formulated laws and produced mature legal codes. The Sumerians moved at a run from a primitive society into a civilized one, and Sumerian civilization even surpassed that of some modern Third World countries. It was an age that countless later thinkers have admired. While humans enjoyed relatively abundant material prosperity, their spiritual civilization had not yet noticeably declined. People lived a harmonious life marked by equality, shared labor, and the relatively even distribution of wealth. As material civilization grew richer day by day, and as wealth and power became ever more tempting, Sumerian civilization gradually moved from the era of clan communes into an era of slavery. The former life of equality and harmony was destroyed. Royal families used their power to seize public assets. At that time, Sumerian society was relatively advanced, and its people possessed a strong sense of civic awareness. The greed and corruption of kings and nobles provoked fierce resistance from commoners. The city-states that had once coexisted amicably began to fight incessantly over water sources, land, and slaves, attempting to annex weaker city-states. All of this led to prolonged social turmoil and continuous warfare in the Sumerian region. Just as the Sumerians were mired in internal conflicts and unable to extricate themselves, barbarians who were learning from and absorbing Sumerian civilization seized the opportunity to invade, attacking the Sumerians and overcoming the exhausted forces of the Sumerian Confederation. In the end, humanity's first extraordinarily brilliant city-state civilization, obsessed with internal wars over unifying and dominating the Sumerian world, was destroyed by external forces, and Sumerian civilization disappeared from history. The first to conquer and devastate Sumerian civilization were the barbarians of the Akkadian Empire, who were originally Semitic peoples living under Sumerian rule. Even more astonishing is that Sargon I, the founder of the Akkadian Empire, was said to have been an abandoned infant who was later adopted and raised by a gardener. In his youth, he worked as a slave, a porter, and a well digger. Yet these humble and lowly beginnings did not prevent Sargon, endowed with outstanding ability and a strong sense of loyalty and duty, from changing his social status. He was eventually recommended to the king of the city of Kish to serve as a subordinate. In the later stage of Sumerian city-state civilization, when the Sumerians attempted to unify all the Sumerian city-states of Mesopotamia, they once attacked the city-state of Kish but did not occupy it or maintain a long-term presence. Ambitious Sargon took advantage of Kish's military failure and the moment when the people had lost their basic trust in the ruling royal house to usurp the throne. The clever Sargon took advantage of the Sumerians being deeply embroiled in civil wars, leaving them unable to pay attention to the situation in Kish, and quietly established the first standing army in human history. This was a fully professional force of about 5,400 soldiers, comprising infantry, cavalry, chariot units, archers, and other branches, a new type of combined army. After years of building up his strength, Sargon launched an offensive against the Sumerian city-states. With his elite troops, he crushed the Sumerians' army, which had been formed from ordinary citizens, and captured Lugalzagasi, the king of the Sumerian Confederation. What had once been an extraordinarily brilliant Sumerian city-state civilization gradually disappeared from human history, a truly regrettable loss for future generations. And astonishingly, it was destroyed by a lowly barbarian who had been born an abandoned infant. This shows how fragile human civilization truly is. Because human ancestors had filial piety, they diverged from chimpanzees and embarked on an evolutionary path completely different from other animals. After millions of years of long evolution, they became the dominant species on Earth. Yet, shortly after entering the era of civilization, when people lived in equality, worked together, and shared wealth fairly, this harmonious society gave way, in less than 10,000 years, to a society based on private ownership. In a society based on private ownership, everyone works and plans to the best of their ability primarily to increase their wealth and status. Gradually, some people begin to abandon their original commitment to filial piety, becoming less benevolent and kind, and in some cases even greedy, evil, and corrupt. At such times, adhering to a cultural tradition centered on filial piety becomes even more important for the continued progress of human civilization. As long as good and kind people in the world live together harmoniously, even greedy, evil, and corrupt rulers will not dare to easily start wars and disrupt world peace.